Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we'll be looking at how to write the introduction for agree or disagree essay in IELTS writing task 2. So as you are aware that there are many different types of task 2, one of them might come in your exam. So we'll be today dealing with just agree or disagree essay type. So first I'll be showing you what kind of question you might get in this kind of category. Alright, so here is one example of the question that might come. So question says some people think that certain old buildings that are historically important in cities or the countryside should be preserved. Do you agree or disagree? So as you can see, you have straight away got the question and you have been asked whether you agree or disagree. So let's just brainstorm some ideas for that. And if you agree, what could be the ideas for that? And if you disagree, what would be your answer for that? So I have written few ideas beforehand and you can see that. So if you agree with this statement, right? So what could be the ideas? It could be like either it has architectural importance, or it could be that it serves as a connection with the past, or it generates revenue. So you can pick up either of these, right? And if you disagree, what could be the reasons for that? That there's a lot of that they occupy large area and there's soaring housing crisis due to the occupancy of them into large areas. And the other could be that they require a lot of money. That means it's quite expensive to maintain them. That is high cost of maintenance. So we have to first decide what ideas we'll be providing. So we have a little bit of structure to write for that. So once we have a little bit of idea, so then we start with the introduction first. Okay. So we'll be just looking at how to frame the introduction, the right introduction that needs to be written for this kind of essay. So first of all, the introduction is divided into two parts. All right. So first, let's see what is step one. Step one is paraphrase the statement. So the statement means the question, the topic that we have got. The first sentence introduces the subject of the essay. That is, it states the topic in your own words. So what is that sentence? This question. Some people to till preserved. So from some people till preserve is our topic. So we have to write this whole statement in our own words. We cannot copy this as it is. So what are the ways, how can we frame this, right? So there are three different ways that you can choose from in order to paraphrase this statement. First is change the whole sentence. So you understand the question and understand the meaning of the sentence, and then you rewrite the sentence completely in a different way, but the meaning should be the same. Or you can choose the second option, that is restatement of the prompt using synonyms or antonyms. You can use different words or like synonyms or antonyms, and you can restate this topic into your own words. Or you can also use this form, that is you modify the sentence structure. For this one, it means that you put one part of the sentence before or later, so that depends. Okay, so we can have a look at both these types right now. So I'll be taking you to the question now, and we'll see how to use synonyms or antonyms to rewrite our statement or how to modify the sentence structure. So first we see that we have this question, and now we see that what synonyms or what expressions can we change, right? So we have this question first. Some people think. So for some people think, what you can write is, you can say, there are different expressions that you can use. You can say for this, some people think. Okay, so we can say there is a view, or you can also say it is argued by, right? So you can also write it is argued, right? So you can pick these, you can learn or memorize these two expressions, and always when you get this kind of questions, so you have this thing to straight away start from. All right, so that's certain old buildings. So for old buildings, we can use for buildings, we can say Okay, we can say old structures. So okay, we can use the word old structures. Okay, then for that are historically important. Okay, so historically important, we will be changing this expression in cities or the countryside. So for cities, we can use the word urban areas. Okay, and for countryside, we can say rural areas. Okay, should be preserved. For should, you can use the word ought to. Okay, preserved, you can say conserved. All right. So now we have some synonyms for this. So how to write the first part? So we can see, I'll be writing this. Okay. There is a view that. You can also write it is argued by or it is argued. So what is argued? So it says there is a view that we have old buildings. All right. So I can say there is a view that old structures. Okay. For this that are historically important, I can say with historical significance, or you can also say relevance. Okay, but I am using significance, right? So for historically, I have changed it into historical. Important, I have made significance. So I have changed both the words. The form of the word historically is changed into historical. Okay. In cities or urban or countryside. So there is, like I said, you can also modify the sentence structure. So this part you can also write beforehand. So you can also say there is a view that certain old structures in urban or rural areas. So that can come before, right? So that is called modifying the sentence structure. You can put one part of the sentence before or you can put it later. Okay. So we have historical significance in urban or rural areas. Okay. Should be preserved. So we can write ought to be conserved and maintained. Okay. So we have covered one part like that. That is the step one of the question so far. So you can see we have used these expressions to start it and then we have paraphrased it using synonyms. Okay. So now come to the second part, that is the step 2. So what do we need to do? We need to respond to the question and then summarize the main ideas. So the second sentence states your opinion whether you agree or disagree. It also introduces the main ideas you will develop in the essay. That is, it will be like a map. So for the reader or the examiner, it would serve as a map. So the examiner would be able to understand or have a little clarity what you are going to write in the essay. So this is the next part, that is responding to the question. Do you agree or disagree? And then we'll be including these ideas also. So how do we write for that? Let's suppose we start with the agree part. Okay. So what we can say, I agree with this idea or notion, or you can straight away say I agree with this, right, or this statement. So then you have to add your main ideas that are very important. You cannot just straight away say that I agree with this and have kind of a memorized statement, and this essay, for example, that this essay will discuss my ideas in detail in further paragraphs. So that would not serve you better in gaining better band score. So what you need to do is you have to give ideas. So what you can say, I agree with this notion or statement since or as or because. So now comes our reason for that. So this is very important. Since these buildings so what were our main ideas for agree part? You can say architectural importance or serve as a connection of which or generate revenue. So I'll be using this and this. So what I can say is, since these buildings not only serve as a connection with the past, but also then we have another idea, generate revenue, but also are instrumental, or you can say helpful, instrumental in generating revenue, right? So this is our agree part, that we are agreeing to the statement and we have this idea. So this completes our introduction. Okay, so I'll just mention it again. There is a view that old structures with historical significance in urban or rural areas ought to be conserved and maintained. I agree with this notion, since these buildings not only serve as a connection with the past but also are instrumental in generating revenue. Okay, so if you had to write about disagreeing, so what would be your statement? I disagree with this statement. So then we'll be picking up these. Okay, I disagree with this statement and think that these buildings should be demolished. Now I have to give reason. Okay, since they occupy a large area and require high cost of maintenance. Okay, so you have to have at least two main ideas. You can also add three ideas, that's up to you, but your body structure or body paragraphs will be including these ideas. So these ideas are the ones that you will be explaining in detail. So you pick up only those ideas in your introduction which you will be discussing in your body paragraphs. So let's revise once again how to write the introduction for agree or disagree essay type. Okay, so we have step 1, we paraphrase the statement, right? We write the first sentence that introduces the subject of the essay in our own words. The second is response to the question. That is, we write that if we agree or disagree to this, and then we also introduce our main ideas that will serve as a map for our essay. Right. So now I'll be sharing with you one task that you can practice and see if you're able to use these two steps and frame your own introduction for agree or disagree essay. So this is a question. It says some people think that the main purpose of schools is to turn children into good citizens and workers rather than to benefit them as individuals. To what extent do you agree or disagree? All right. So I'll be providing you some words that you can use to rephrase your sentence, and also you can use the technique of modifying the sentence structure. That is, you can put this sentence, that is, rather than to benefit them as individual initially, and then you write the other part. All right. So for some people think what we can write is there is a view that the main purpose of school, so for main purpose we can say primary goal or aim, is to turn children. So for turn you can use the word shape or mold, okay, into good citizens and workers. So for good citizens you can use the word responsible, so good responsible citizens, and workers you can say competent or productive workers. Rather than, so for rather than we can say instead of, okay, to benefit them as individuals. So for this statement, you can use the word personal development and frame a new sentence, right? Rather than copying the same part. So we'll be using personal development and rewriting the sentence. So this part you can write like instead of, like there is a view that the dash dash, that instead of dash, the primary goal of school is to dash. So this is how you can write. So let's see if you're able to write this in your own words, this question, and please write it in the comment, and I'll be seeing how well you are writing it, and I hope that this technique will be useful for you and you can gain from this technique and learn how to write the introduction. So for your next time when you write the essay, please keep in mind these steps, and this will be very helpful for you in order to write your introduction for agree or disagree essay type. So I'll be looking you in my next video, and I'll be sharing with you how to write different types of introductions for different types of questions. So thank you for watching.